You're listening to the Media Man Dan podcast, your place for music, movies, news, reviews, and interviews. Welcome to the show. Get ready to rock. Let's rock! Chris is just shredding on this. What's up, guys? I am Media Man Dan, and today I would like to introduce my awesome guest, Chris Schmidt of the band The Occultation Project, which I believe is a solo project. Am I correct about this?
It used to be. I've got some more members now, but it's a moving target.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. And I could say that from all the YouTube videos and all of the music that I've listened to, just being alone when you were at the start there was incredible. Like I went through your entire discography 3 times within the last probably 7 hours. And
oh, wow.
I was trying to make sure that I was able to compliment things and like critique things. And I was like, well, you know, Chris, there's some people that are made for music, and you're one of them, because I couldn't find a flaw in anything. Like, it was incredible music.
Oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries, man. You deserve it. And I definitely will be listening over and over again. And I'll send you, just so you can see the proof on Spotify, all of those plays.
Oh,
your first song should be blowing up big time, because I'll keep playing that over and over.
Which one was that?
It has a black and white artwork.
Oh, yeah. So I did that. I think I wrote that song in 2015.
Virtual Virtue. Just
yeah.
Everyone know.
So when I started the project, I was working with my friend Mark, who at the time did electronic drums and production for me. And a couple years after that, I met a dude in Buffalo who did vocals, and he eventually joined in. I think I did 4 or 5 tracks with him before we parted ways. But that was the last track I did with him. The last one I did before I hooked up with Bjorn and Dirk. So it was sort of like a dynamic period for me. I was trying to find my own sound, trying to find a solid lineup of people I could work with consistently. And yeah, it's crazy to think I recorded that 5 years ago, you know?
Yeah. Like, it's amazing too.
I'm glad you like it, man.
Yeah, from the get-go, you start off immediately and you grab the audience. Whoever listens to this track, I promise you, you're going to have a good time with it. There's a lot of fun on this track, a lot of metal, a very heavy track indeed for a first one. And like I just interviewed Breaking Serenity before, I love when a first track blows my mind, because then I could say, hey, it only gets better from there. Everybody has, the weak first track and then they get better, but some people have the strong first track and they become perfect artists.
Yeah, that's my goal. Maybe not perfect, but I'm always trying to improve.
Hey, that's the best, man. Be humble. So I'm going to ask the first question of this incredible interview. How is your year going so far? And did anything exciting happen last year?
Oh, man. Well, so far, 2023 has been busy. I have a full-time job. Unfortunately, I'm not a full-time guitar player as much as I'd like to be, but I work as an engineer in pharmaceuticals. And the last month has just been completely swamped at work. So I'm working some weird hours. I'm still squeezing in my guitar practice and stuff like that, and trying to write and record when I get time. So it's been very busy. And then the most exciting part about last year, man, I didn't do very much musically in 2022, if I'm being honest. I covered a Children of Bodom track.
I saw that.
As you know, Alexi Lyle passed away a couple years ago, and that was hard for me because he was like my favorite guitar player of all time. So I picked a track that resonated with me back when I first started listening to the band, and I got in touch with this vocalist from Italy. Her name's Viviana. She's amazing, and she agreed to do the vocals, and she's actually going to do a couple more tracks for me too.
Awesome.
So that Bodom track is 100% female vocal.
What?
Yeah, dude,
Really?
she's insane. She's insane.
Wait. I do recall. I was thinking Arch Enemy when I heard it. I was
Yeah,
like, did he hook up with
yeah.
the vocalist of Arch Enemy to make this track? But she's got an
So
incredible scream. Yeah.
yeah, so that girl Alyssa for Arch Enemy has the same kind of like traction you'd expect from a male voice. It's like a
Yes.
deep baritone traction. I don't know how else to describe it, but this chick has it. And I heard what she could do, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to work with her.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
say like Ginger, let's see, Courtney of Spirit Box, some of these
yeah,
ladies that have come out recently and blown minds. They blew my mind the first time too, but then after I hear them so much, I'm just like, that's just them. That's just how they are.
yeah,
At
yeah, yeah,
first though, we never expected anyone to be able to hit like Howard Jones levels of screams if it's coming out of a female voice. But these girls, they do extreme training and they're so vocally powerful to be able to
yeah,
hit that when they're live too. It's the craziest thing. That's why Pisces from Ginger got so many hits, is because it was a live performance. It wasn't just studio made. Sick.
yep.
I loved it. But that's amazing. So you said she's from Italy?
She lives on the border of Switzerland and Italy, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, great place for metal.
Yeah,
All right. Well, that is a great summary of what happened last year. You're getting excited to work with this young lady, and we're going to be hearing more from her besides that Silent Night, Bodum Night, I believe was the song, right?
yes.
Yeah. At first I was like, I wonder if it's going to be a Silent Night cover from, a Christmas song.
Oh,
But
that'd be
I was
something,
like,
wouldn't it?
nope, definitely not.
Yeah.
But Bodum, Children of Bodum, I should say I have a history with them. I used to listen to Pandora when I was getting into metal, and like
Okay.
the shirt I'm wearing right now, the For Today, Bullet for My Valentine. I would listen to all those radios, and so one day I would write down or screenshot all of the artists that I was listening to in that day, and I'd be like, "This was an amazing band." And for the longest time, I thought Born of Osiris was Children of Bodom. And then I
It's
thought
an honest
another band
mistake.
was Children of Bodom. Yeah, so both of them have incredible instrumentals, but yeah, Children of Bodom is definitely very heavy and very awesome. And you said that you have a really good connection to that guitarist. You said that they were one of your biggest inspirations or your favorite guitarist. That's incredible.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
Awesome. And that I'm gonna skip to that question then. With that being your biggest influence, I could say, for modern music, what was the music that really like engaged you to get into metal when you were younger?
Um, well, when I was, I think I was 11 or 12 years old, and my friend gave me a ripped copy of the Black Album.
Hell yeah.
So I listened to Metallica for like a year, and then my buddy showed me Megadeth. I'm like, oh my god, like, all right, this is my favorite band, and it was for many many years. I still listen to them quite a bit. So Metallica was kind of like my gateway drug, and then I got into Megadeth and Slayer and Pantera was pretty big at the time, and Cannibal Corpse. I've been listening to those guys close to 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I forgot.
it's
I
weird
forgot
to
they've been around from the get-go. From yeah, they
yeah, and they were a Buffalo band, and that's pretty close to where I grew up, so that was kind of a big deal. You know,
awesome.
seeing this band on a movie with Jim Carrey, and they used to practice an hour from your house.
Yeah. I was gonna say Born of Osiris actually about 30 minutes from where I live. That's where they started theirs. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
it's always cool to have those local talents that blow all the way up and you don't even realize it till they're already big. And you're like,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
they're that close? How is that
Yep.
possible? The talent of this area.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you get some bragging rights. You know, like, yeah, they're Buffalo guys, you
Yeah.
know?
I've done that a couple times. Oh yeah, they're from Chicago, just like me. Yeah, Fallout Boy. Of course I know them. Who couldn't know them? They hang out with me all the time. No, I'm kidding. I would never name
Yeah.
drop anyone that I haven't met in person, but they are awesome bands all around us. And as long as we keep our ear open and our eyes open, we'll find them eventually.
Absolutely.
All right. The next question I have: how long have you been shredding on guitar, or what like jump started your career to get into guitar?
Um, I picked up a guitar for the first time when I was 8 years old. I couldn't play anything. Um, I didn't acquire my first guitar until I was 12, and I took my first lesson when I was 13. And after that first lesson, that was just it, man. Like, this is what I'm going to do. Um, my first guitar was like a nylon string acoustic that my dad got for me, and that following summer, I saved up a bunch of money from mowing lawns, and there was a guitar store in Geneseo. It's still there. It's called Buzzo's Music. I think it's definitely Buzzo. I don't know if it's Buzzo's Music. Anyway, I got like $100 Dean, and I was just glued to the thing for a couple years until I got another guitar and then another guitar and so on.
Awesome. And you said
Yeah.
that from 8 years old, you didn't really know how to play it. See, my first guitar when I was 8 years old was a rubber band over a tissue box with toilet paper rolls. Yeah, at the top. You know, the old-fashioned way of learning to make a really crappy guitar. But at least you understand how sound works when you have the different
Yep.
area that you're hitting over that hole. But yeah, for me, my guitar experience is so slim. I learned how to play piano first because I was playing with a little
Mm-hmm.
keyboard when I was a kid. Any
Mm-hmm.
melody that came to mind, like if it was in my head or if it was playing, I would try to match it with my ears, and I would
Mm-hmm.
just play the simple stuff. I never had any chord progression or anything like that. And so guitar, I did the same thing, but I only played one song, 25 or 624 by Chicago. And it was only with
Oh,
one
no, no,
string.
no, no, no.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very catchy, very easy to learn. And I thought that that would really jumpstart my whole, like everything. But guitar never really stood out to me because they told me about calluses. And when you're young, you're like, oh man, I have to hurt my fingers on
It,
purpose.
it can
Really?
hurt.
Yeah, definitely. But you stuck with it from 12 on. That is incredible. And you've had years to perfect everything and really show that the talent does run through you when you have true passion for whatever instrument you're playing.
It's a lifelong journey, man. I still practice every day, and I have bad days. I have plenty of videos and recorded tracks that I would never show anybody. Um, but you got to dig for the gold, you know.
Yes. Yes. By the way, did I say your band name correctly? Because I was looking at my next question. I said,
It's
oh,
actually it you didn't, but I'm going to tell you, most people mispronounce it. So I picked this band
I said
name.
occultation, didn't I?
It's Occultation, which is a
Occultation.
celestial event.
I knew
Yep.
I knew I said it wrong. As soon as I started, I was like, oh no, it's just like that reaction I did to your song last year or 2 years ago.
And
I was
that's
like,
fine.
shit.
I mean, that's what most people say. So what I'm going to do from now on, if people ask me if they're pronouncing it right, I'm just going to say yes. You know, some people think it's occultation, some people think it's oculation. None of them are wrong, though.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yep.
The question I have for you, what made you come up with the name Occultation Project?
So I started the band with my buddy Mark, who's a physicist, and I'm an engineer by trade. And I was still going to college. I was at University of Buffalo, and we were both kind of nerdy. So it was like, how can we sort of spin this into like a band name or an album theme or something like that? And picking a band name is a lot more difficult than you might think. A good one anyway. So it's kind of like a smart ass thing. Like I will call it a good trick is when a band name is taken, you just add project at the end of it, and then that kind of changes it up. So we settled on the Occultation Project, and there have been several times over the years where I've questioned that, like maybe I should have picked a more catchy name. Maybe I can change it. But at this point, I mean, we're 10 years into it. It kind of is what it is. That's my band name.
It's all good. Yeah, for me, I would simplify it and I'd be like the occult project. But you know, that
I
sounds pretty
guarantee someone
dark.
has done that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
probably been taken, of course. So
Yep.
occultation. I'm gonna keep saying it until I get it right.
Mm-hmm.
That is an excellent answer. So Mark was definitely a big part of the start of the band. You said that you went solo a little bit after the first couple of songs. You said that the last song that you guys recorded was that first song that you released, right?
Yep. Yep. So I worked with Mark until, and he actually produced The Dawn Will Whisper. He did the mix master for that, and we're pretty good friends. We've known each other for a long time. Grew up in the same town, like played video games together, liked the same bands and shit like that. And it just, I reached a point where I wanted to start becoming a little more serious, and it was really just sort of a passive interest for him.
Yeah.
So it was like a mutual parting of ways, although we're still, we still talk all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just know that for him it's a hobby, and I think we both knew I was expecting a little more out of him, and it was
Gotcha.
totally okay. Yep.
Yeah, the music is part of the commitment. Everybody has their own version of it, you know. I could say
Hmm.
for me on YouTube and all of this, I use it as a committing to a hobby, as opposed
Hmm.
to a full-on passion that I would like to get paid for in the future. It's just like something that I really enjoy to do, but it's not something I know that I'm passionate about enough to make money from, because I probably wouldn't advance too much of my skill on it. But for you, you've been with this for a long time. Like you said, the first time you picked up the guitar, it was rough, and then when you had your first lesson, you were like, "This is where I need to be." And so, you stuck with it, and here you are now. And like I said, I'm complimenting your music. It's perfect,
And
dude. It's 5 out of 5. Every single song is a 5 out of 5. How is that possible? It's so
that's
good.
I thank you, man. That means a lot. I can tell you, I put a lot of thought into song structure because for me, it's kind of like telling a story. I try not to repeat myself too much because a lot of songs are like verse, chorus, solo, double chorus, or whatever, and then outro. And I kind of like to make it a little more like a roller coaster ride. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You want to keep the audience engaged. At the same time, you want to shred at every single point of the song. You got an incredible solo on some of these songs, especially the ones with the vocal lines. It's like, yes, this is Chris's standout moment right here. He's gonna kill
Yeah.
me. He's gonna melt my face off. This is awesome. But let me just talk about this calming EP. I think
Oh,
Calm Lands. That's it. Calm Lands.
yep.
When it came on, I was like, I don't know if I'm still on the same band. This sounds so
Mhm.
different. But I was like, wait a second. This is a great transition, and this is a great way for him to show off his talent in more than one way. Because a lot of people, they're like, oh, I like it heavy, I keep it heavy. And you go black metal, death metal, all kinds of stuff all the time. It's always good to have a nice ballad in between. But this album or EP is really solid, and it definitely takes you on a journey from beginning to end. It's
Mhm.
just beautiful. It really is beautiful music.
Well, I can't take credit for the music because it's Final Fantasy music, but
I
I
wouldn't
did
know.
cover it from scratch. Yeah, I think that's Final Fantasy 10, 6, 9, and 8. Just
Incredible.
various tracks that I liked over the years. And what I did with that, I wasn't trying to show off or make it about me as much as I was just trying to like maybe expose some new people to this amazing music that might be in a video game that never played before.
It sure as hell is that way for me because I unfortunately missed out on the Final Fantasy franchise all the way up until Soul Calibur came out, and I was like, "Oh, that's the characters everyone was talking about."
Oh yeah, yeah.
That really changed my world on things because that was like the Super Smash Bros. For the PlayStation people. Like me, I had PlayStation 2, and I would always go to my friend's house, and they'd have a Nintendo, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, well at least we got Soul Calibur."
Yeah, yeah.
Nintendo doesn't have that, as far as I know, but yeah, that's awesome. So it is a bunch of covers from your favorite songs on these soundtracks from those games.
Hmm.
That's sick. My friend Eddie Lamb Music, he covered Zelda one time, and the first time that I heard the second song, I think on this EP, I was like, this kind of sounds like something Eddie would do. And so now it makes more sense because both you guys are covering video game music and rocking it up. That is awesome.
Yeah. It was
That's
just
awesome.
it was a one-time thing. It was like the middle of the pandemic. I didn't have anything lined up with like the rest of the guys that I work with. So I was like, okay, I have time. Let's get some of these songs out of my head.
Definitely, definitely. And you put them right into your work. How do you really like pick up on the notes? Can you just automatically hear the pitch or hear the key and you're like, I got this?
I can usually pick it out by ear, but for the orchestrations, I will have to reference like a MIDI track. Like I
Got
can,
it.
I can download a MIDI track and drop it into Logic, and I'll listen to it. Or actually, I have a software that would translate that into sheets, and I'll just retranspose it onto a guitar.
Perfect.
Yep.
And it just comes naturally after
Yeah. It's
so long practicing with everything on guitar.
I was able to do that when I was a kid too. Like if I heard a song like on the radio or like I don't know, like a Megadeth album, I wouldn't be able to like play note perfect Megadeth covers when I was a kid, but I could hear melodies and play them back.
When you had the first experience where you're like, I hear this in my head all the time, I'm going to translate it to the instrument that I'm playing. How was that first experience for me? Like on the piano, like this little tiny keyboard as a toddler. I heard one like pop song that was playing in the house all the time, and I taught myself how to play it. And I was like, yeah, that's just the way it is. How was it for you?
Um, I don't know if this is the first one, man, but we're going back to like 1996 when I was in eighth grade. Um, I had a copy of Ride the Lightning, and the last track on that album is an instrumental. I think it's called Call of the Cthulhu. And those are
Oh,
actually those are Dave Mustaine riffs. That's why they're really good. But I just had to throw a jab in there, you know. Um, I remember I stayed up super super late on a Saturday night and figured out as many of the guitar parts as I could. And I got most of the way through it. And it was just like a cool experience. Like I have this new skill that I'm, you know, and I'm putting it to use, and I'm writing my discoveries down on this Towager paper that my dad made me using Microsoft Excel.
with
And it was just,
dial-up connection.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a very happy memory. Actually, I don't even know if we had internet then.
Oh no.
Uh, yeah, I might not have been transcribing music on a Saturday night if I had internet access.
Hey, it's awesome. Everything that we have nowadays, you can't take it for granted because we're just like, whoa, I'm so happy I have this.
Yeah, yeah,
We come from everybody in every generation. They're like, yeah, this is what our advances were, and I'm just like, look at what we have now. Just forget about
yeah,
everything else. We're good now. Floppy disks are gone. We went to flash drive. Flash drive went to digital. We're just everything is smooth.
yeah, yeah.
It's so nice. It's so nice. But so you Ride the Lightning. I am such a poser when it comes to not Linkin Park. When it comes to Metallica, I have listened to every album except for Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning. And I don't know why I've skipped those two. I think it was because people told me it was thrash, and I was like, I don't know if I really like thrash. So I say that my favorite album is still not Puppets. The next one. Sorry.
Justice, that's my favorite.
Yes, and Justice for All. Oh my
Yeah,
God, that album is
God, yeah,
so good. I mean,
yeah,
it's everyone complains that there's bass tone missing, and I'm like, no, 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 no. This is Metallica being
yeah, yeah,
Metallica. It's so good. I love the Black Album as well, of course, but and Master
yeah.
of Puppets. But yeah, I will now that you're talking about it, it makes me like go back and say I should really listen to Ride the Lightning all the way through, get the same experience that a lot of metal fans have gotten over the time.
So when I hear that, actually, when I hear a lot of Metallica stuff, excluding Injustice for All, I hear like rock songs. When I think of thrash, I think of like Megadeth and Testament, not really Metallica, which was kind of their appeal. You know, they're
Yeah.
more palatable. But yeah, Injustice for All, I think I bought that tape when I was 12 and listened to it for a whole summer.
Hell yeah. That's
Yeah,
that was the best thing about music back then. As somebody who collects physical media, is like I get to hear that people were like, you would pick up the album from the store, you would look at the front of it, you'd open it up, you'd take the paper out, you'd look at every single detail of it, and you would spin that thing all day, all night, and tell all your friends to listen to the exact same album. There was no discographies because it was probably expensive at the time. So everybody was like, this is my album. What was that album for you?
I'm thinking very carefully about this. Probably Rust in Peace, Megadeth.
Nice.
That's that's still one of my favorite albums of all time, start to finish. Um, I really can't say anything bad about it.
Excellent. And do you enjoy the vocals of Megadeth? A lot of people are very iffy on if they really can say that he is one of the greatest vocalists in metal. For me, I never really got into the heavier type of vocals. My uncle showed me Megadeth through Symphony of Destruction. I think it was for a wrestler
Mm-hmm.
at the time. And
Yeah,
I was like, in my head, I was like, his vocal sounded so clean. And then I bought the track to put it onto my phone as a ringback tone back when we had that on the flip phones and stuff. And
Oh
I was
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah,
this is so cool. And I was like, wait a second, his voice sounds so different than what I remember because he's so much more gritty. He's so much more dark and deep.
yeah. So with Dave, I can't picture him being the vocalist in any other band, and I can't picture anyone else singing for Megadeth. Those vocals are just what they need to be for that music.
Perfect. That's a perfect answer because yeah, I for the longest time I'm always really biased on like, oh, I want the perfect cleans and I want it to be nice and smooth. But some bands,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, they have that iconic sound. Avenged Sevenfold took me a long time to get into just because of M Shadow's voice. But now every
Mm-hmm.
time I'm like, that's Avenged Sevenfold. There, I would never listen to anyone else sing except for, of course, the Rev, rest in peace. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
that is something really, really awesome about metal groups, metal bands in general, is that you're going to have your standout vocalist, and it doesn't matter what those other people think. They usually will show you that that is what the band is. They are part of that band forever.
Yeah,
That's like the
absolutely,
first
man.
thing that comes to mind. Like I can't listen to a Journey song unless it's Steve Perry. I'm sorry, the new guy is not as good. I'm gonna throw shade his way. I
Yeah,
cannot understand how Steve is not with them, but I'm okay with the band. I still think they're fantastic. I'm just like, oh my God, if you still had Steve Perry, incredible, incredible.
I recall hearing something along the lines of that working relationship was very complicated. And when you know somebody for so long and you work so closely with them for so long, like it can become very difficult to be civil and just
Yeah.
kind of make things work, you know?
Yeah, same that happens for almost every band that's had uh, disputes with their vocalist or having their vocalist go solo. It
Mm-hmm.
was definitely a common thing to hear that they were so close that they hated each other.
Yeah, yep, it happens.
Yeah, but I love the bands that stick it through. The great friends, like the band I just interviewed the other day was Crushing Plains, and they're young and they're fresh and they're ready to rock. You got two members, they're married, so it's like I hope to God that this band never breaks up. This will be great. They'll have a lot to work for in the future, and they got their friend with them. So I'm wishing the best for any new band. Speaking of that, let me just go all the way down. I was going to ask this question last, but what are some words of wisdom that you have for newer artists, either solo or bands these days? Like, how would you recommend they really put their heart and soul into their music and really find their audience?
Um, it needs to be authentic. You need to find your own voice, and because if you're faking it, people are going to sense it. They're not stupid. Um, and I think that's why a lot of people find pop music so distasteful because it's kind of trite and it seems like a sales pitch. But there are some bands, like one of my favorite bands at the drive-in, they disbanded many, many years ago, but those guys were just pure emotion and grit. And you could tell there's nothing else in the world they wanted to be doing in that moment. So if you can capture that kind of energy and show that to people, I think you'll resonate with many. And also, if you want to be famous, do something else.
Ain't that the truth? All right. So, my next question that I have for you, I know that you're not on vocals for most of these tracks. Can you scream?
I can do like a Tom Araya style yell that's really more of like a rage yell than a technique. And I wouldn't do that unless I was in like a punk or a grindcore band.
Gotcha.
So so the answer is yes, no.
You can scream. You have the activation in your vocals, but you choose to only have it if it's that grindcore or
it
punk
is
band.
it is hot garbage.
Well, hey, thank you for being honest about it. Have you been practicing with it at all in the past, and then you're just like, nah, it's not for me.
I was in a post hardcore band with my buddies in Rochester, New York until like 2003. And I did like backups for that band, but that was, no technique. That was just like screaming into this mic and
Back when it didn't matter how the production sounded, especially vocally, it's just like, yeah,
yeah, just
express
pure
yourself.
rage. Yep.
Love it. Love it. I can say I've taught myself how to do the fries. I think I've sent you samples before of like vocals that I've attempted. But I've
Yeah,
been
you're
working
good.
on my low scream recently, and I'll
Okay.
send you more samples of that too. So if I could ever have the opportunity, the honor to be on any track, hit me up at any time. I'll do it.
Maybe we can do maybe do like a gang vocal thing.
Definitely. I'm down for that. I can do a harmony
Yeah.
too. Anything you need me.
Okay, let's we'll talk offline, but I do have a couple new tracks. We'll see what I'm sending them to Viviana to do the lead vocals.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking there should be places for like background screams or like gang vocals or something like that. So I think we
Awesome.
can make something like that happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you got all the tech down, and that's going to be my next question here. You said that Mark was originally helping you produce a lot of these things. How did your
Mhm.
production work when you started going solo with your music? Because it's
I
perfect.
tried it my
Again,
thank you.
you're welcome.
I tried it myself, man, but I I work with a mix master engineer now
Okay,
for a couple reasons because I'm not a professional mix master engineer, and I can hear the difference in my stuff, like from between my mixes and what he sends back to me. And it's also good to have another set of ears on something.
definitely.
So, I mean, I think I did the master for the Calmlands myself, just because that was more of like a fun thing I was doing during the pandemic to keep myself busy. But for like, I think I started. This guy's name is Adair Dalfenbach. He's amazing. I got hooked up with him through Dirk, who did my last two or three drum tracks,
Awesome.
and he's kind of my guy now.
Excellent. And speaking of Dirk, speaking of your collaborations, I gotta ask how you came across Bjorn all the way over in Sweden from the band Soilwork. Get a huge shout out to that incredible vocalist, both screaming and
Yeah,
singing wise. Like I said, he's like the metal version of Toto for me.
he's the best in the world, man.
He's so good.
He so it was after I knew I was done working with the guy I'd been working with for a couple of years. He's like, well, now I need a vocalist, and I found this website for people who did session work, and he's like the flagship guy for that site. And I'm like, I'm going to send him a message. There's no way in hell he's going to get back to me, and he didn't. And it was like 4 months later. I'm like in the middle of Arkansas or something for work. I get this email. It's Bjorn Street. I'm like, is this real? Like, is this? I thought it was a scam. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there's no way this guy's gonna reach out to me. So I'm like, said he had just gotten back from tour and he needed to rest, but he wanted to know if, am I too late? He said. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, no.
You are Bjorn, the
Yeah,
Bjorn.
like, yeah, you can jump in whenever you want. So he did, and then that was the Dawn Will Whisper, and just by having that name on my resume, I was able to get a hold of Dirk. And through Dirk, I met the guy who's doing my production now. So it's you know how it is when you meet one person, you meet three others, and so on and so forth. And
Love it. The best way
yeah,
to grow is through word of mouth and through
mm-hmm.
collaboration. It works so
Yeah,
much better. This is going to be my add on to your incredible words of advice for the newer artists. If you
mm-hmm.
know anyone, it doesn't matter if they're big or small, talk to them, work with them, and work with everyone they've worked with. It works so much
Absolutely.
better in your favor because you will never ever run out of opportunities unless you are completely alone and totally like starting fresh. Like it's so hard to do to find anyone or have a fan base immediately. So the best thing to
Mm-hmm.
do is to follow a great person like Chris here that's already super talented. Remember, you guys can go and find all of his information in the description of this video. You can hit him up and he can tell you how awesome some people are that he has come across, especially Bjorn, and he'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you how to talk to these people, how to respectfully get answers, and wait for the patience that you need to have. It's about 4 months, you said, until you got a response, but it was totally worth it. You got him on 4 or 5 tracks. It's incredible.
Yeah, and he's on tour with Soilwork right now, but he has equipment that he's touring with now, so he can continue to do session work.
That's awesome.
Um,
So he's bringing it on the road with him.
yeah.
Oh my God. I'm gonna have to think how somebody's able to mix and master something while on the road, while on tour, have the vocals to continue to supply that kind of mastering. Like it's insane. Because for me, I'm like, I just came from a holiday party with my fiance. We were screaming on the dance floor, right? I'm like, oh, karaoke's here. I want to sing. I go up to the karaoke mic. My voice is cracking like I'm in eighth grade again. I am like, this is not good. I'm hearing myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is worse. The guy puts on the reverb so I could hear an echo. I'm like, oh, this is so unhelpful. And so anybody that plays or performs live that can do it almost magically perfectly, like I give so much credit to. So Bjorn being on tour, like I said, having a set with him to be able to
Yeah.
record vocals for you and anybody else is incredible. And the fact that he's able to
Yeah.
breathe and not have a voice crack.
He's a world class pro, man, and he's told me like if he needs a little time, like after coming off that tour with Soilwork, the first time I recorded with him, he's like, I gotta relax for a couple days for obvious reasons. I mean, traveling sucks, it's stressful, and then performing every night is, especially as a vocalist like that, that cannot be easy.
No, no, super challenging. And anybody
Mhm.
that knows as a professional vocalist out there knows that you have to drink a lot of water and you do need to have those breaks between it. My favorite band, Red, their vocalist never talks unless he's talking to fans at like a meet and greet. But before he
Mhm.
performs that whole day, he's almost silent to make sure that he is completely prepared to go up on the stage and absolutely kill it. And he does every single time.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
he's very, very good. I'll send you a sample of him sometime very soon. But hey, let me move on to the next question here.
Okay.
Is there anything better than Swedish melodic metal?
It resonates with my soul. I can't describe it. It's like the first time I heard it, and especially the first time I heard Children of Bodom, I'm like, oh, this is it. Like I'm never gonna have another favorite band again. Actually, I think the band that got me introduced to the genre was In Flames.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh,
their album Colony.
hmm.
That was so that was a first for me. And then Soilwork, Children of Bodom. It's just having the melody in there for some emotions. I mean, I love American death metal too, obviously, Cannibal Corpse and the Black Dahlia Murder and stuff like that. But
Oh yeah.
having that melodic influence in there really it does it for me. It moves the needle.
Indeed, I agree with you. And my first being with Christian Alvestum, so Scar Symmetry, not Soil Work, Solution 45. Both of his bands like really stuck out to me because, like I told you, I was going through Pandora for the longest time, and I was like, "Oh wait, who listens to like all of this other music? There's no other bands that can sound like Red, right?" And then I found like what was the other? It was Evans Blue. Evans Blue came up, and then Starset came up, but Starset had not been like heavy rock yet. So I was like, why is this band keep coming up? And finally I figured it out. They have the producer of Red that helped them
Yeah,
on their first two albums. So that blew my mind and that got me into things. But when Christian's band Scar Symmetry came up with his song Morphogenesis, I was like, this is exactly what I need. This is the ultimate
yeah,
anthem. This is melodic. This is heavy. His growls were intense. The singing was gorgeous. I was like, I need more of this. And then, of course, because I go into Christian Alvestum radio, I find Soil Work, I find
yeah,
Bjorn, and I also had another track with him because of Demon Hunter. I got into them early on as well. And I was like, yeah, definitely Swedish people, Swedish musicians, Scandinavian countries, they know what they're doing. They are
yeah,
masters. And it's like nothing to them because like there's so many bands like that over there, and that's like, ah, it's just another band. And for us, we're just like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life.
yeah.
But they're like, ah, it's
It's
just another one of those.
it's the way it's supposed to be, man. And actually, I'm thinking. I just thought of probably the greatest compliment I ever received. Ola England listened to the Dawn Will Whisper. I don't know how I got this to happen. I think I just left a comment, and he was doing one of those videos where like he checks out what his subs are doing, and
Yeah.
so I sent him that track, and he listened to it, and he's couldn't stop talking about my guitar because I was playing my Ibanez Universe, It's kind of
Hell yeah.
rare. But he heard the solo and he's like, that solo sounds like kind of Swedish. And I'm like, yes.
The solo sounds Swedish. It makes
Yeah.
you want to have the meatballs over at IKEA. Like, this is so
Yeah.
Swedish.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah, that is an incredible compliment, definitely. In metal, of course. I mean, they're great in any genre, honestly. ABBA or
Hmm.
ABBA, however you say their name, incredible music. And you just said In Flames before. I have had so much time listening to In Flames, and I still am trying to understand their vocalist. It's not about his sound, it's not about his style, but it's about the way that he scream sings that I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't know if that's possible. I'm pretty sure it's a double, like he must be layering this or something. There's no way that his voice sounds like that. But people are like, no, 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 he sounds exactly like that live. I'm like, that's incredible. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
He's amazing.
It sounds like it would hurt. Like just like Chester's voice when he was screaming, it's like that sounds painful.
It's blood curdling. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. But yeah, In Flames, you were talking about having one of the biggest influences on you, and also your metal album that you were listening to as well, that got you to find Children of Bodom. Children of Bodom, now I have to ask, what is your favorite album by them?
Hate Crew Death Roll. Although I will say Follow the Reaper is a very, very close second.
All right. And I'm going to have
Mhm.
like diehard elitists in my comment section that'll be like, no, wrong. Absolutely not. But I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Nobody will be here yet. But when they do come, I'll be like, no, 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 listen. Chris is never wrong. Listen to his music. You can't possibly debate this man. He knows what he's talking about. He's got the passion, he's got the smarts. Absolutely, man. All right. The next question I have: what is the best concert you have experienced so far, either performing or watching yourself?
In terms of raw energy and volume, Slayer.
Hell yeah.
Megadeth is amazing live. That's not much of a stage show though. Also very, very loud. And I would say Slayer probably was the best
Slayer's
overall show. Yeah.
most
Although
energetic,
most energetic, yeah, the crowd was
super
going
mosh
freaking
pits.
nuts. Yeah, huge mosh pits. And Anthrax opened for them.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
was and this was in there's an amphitheater at Darien Lake near Buffalo. And I'm standing there with a beer. Anthrax is playing. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then this dude just plows into me. Beer goes flying. I'm like, I'm going to stand over there for the rest of the show. And
Yeah, that's how I
yeah,
felt a Bullet for My Valentine when the pit started. I was like, ah,
I
this
got to
seems like a
migrate.
great time to move back there.
Yeah. Actually, in terms of raw performance, Children of Bodom did a 20-year anniversary tour for their first album. That was probably the best technical guitar playing I've seen in person.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And that's something really challenging for anyone that mixes music live as well, is to make sure that you're getting that kind of experience, because you can do a lot with vocal work when you're on the stage. There's always pitch correction and stuff like that. But for guitar,
yeah,
that person's actually shredding their heart and soul into their guitar to make sure that it
yeah.
sounds perfect. And some people that are incredible guitarists have bad nights. But
Oh yeah.
that makes me want to watch a couple of performances, or maybe buy a DVD of one of their tours, the Children of Bodom.
Oh yeah. Amazing live band.
Awesome. They have instrumental tracks too, right?
Bodom, not to my knowledge. I'm
No?
pretty sure there was a vocal line in everything I've heard.
Okay. In that case, it
But
wasn't that band. I'm gonna have to go through their whole discography thanks to you, and I appreciate that.
uh, yeah, man, you could there was an evolution that I don't know where this. They had an evolutionary period in the early 2000s where they kind of switched from they were really hardcore neoclassical at first,
Wow.
and like 2004 2005, that's when metalcore was really taking off.
Yeah,
So they kind of had if you listen to the difference between Hate Crew Death Roll and Are You Dead Yet, like there's a noticeable difference in terms of riffage. It seems like it's geared a lot more around metalcore than neoclassical shred,
the
but it's still very,
progression.
very good. I
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
awesome.
the next album the next album was kind of like that too. And then actually, what sucks is the very last album they put out in 2019 was like sort of a return to their roots, and I was like, this is amazing. Like this band is like they're getting better. How's that possible?
Yeah.
And then it's over, and that's pretty sad.
The best way to go out is with your best, though. Come on.
Yeah,
We got to
yep,
give
yep.
them credit for that. That's an incredible way to finish off. I do really want to check them out now. It makes every time I listen to a band that I haven't listened to in a while, In Flames was one of them. I did their whole discography in like a couple days or like a whole night. I think I was working at the hotel at the time, and I was like, well, somehow every album keeps getting better. They keep sounding like really close to the same. And then there was that one album, and I was like, what the fuck? This is great.
Yeah,
This is great. There's so much like awesome music. Like I find the intense growls and the intense screams from their vocalist to be too intense at times. And when I got to that album, we had some melodic riffs behind it. I was like, oh wow, oh wow, yes,
yeah.
yes.
That's you need it.
Absolutely. All right. Now we get to go into the funnest question. Thanks to you for talking to me beforehand. What
Mhm.
is your favorite video game or video game franchise growing up or now, even?
Uh, so growing up, it was The Legend of Zelda.
Hell yeah.
Um, I've played all those games. I still have them all. And right now, my favorite franchise is Final Fantasy. Favorite game is Final Fantasy 8.
There we go. I've
Yep.
heard I've heard nothing but great things about that game.
Yeah.
It's crazy that they had 8 games to get up to that best point, and they're still
It,
going.
yeah. And if I say like I'm very careful with my wording too, because if I were to say Final Fantasy 8 is best, and a bunch of people heard that, a bunch of them would disagree with me and hate me. They'd be like, "No, seven's best. No, what are you talking about? Six is best." But that's so
All
I
right.
just say that's my favorite.
Final Fantasy in their prime. This is your
Yeah,
personal favorite of that time.
my person. You got to be very careful as to not upset anybody.
Got the elitists of metal, you got the elitists of gaming. This is great.
Yeah, yeah.
Triggering everybody all at once just by having an opinion. What a crazy world we live in.
Indeed, man.
But that's amazing. Final Fantasy was something like I said I never had much experience with. Zelda, I recently got into. My coworker a couple years ago loaned me not Breath of the Wild. What was the old one? Wind Waker on the
That's
GameCube.
awesome.
Yeah, I had such a fun time trying to figure out how to get through the first dungeon. I was so lost. I was like, dude, what do I do? How do I? He's like, you got to take care of the lights. I was like, the light. Oh, the lights. Of course. How could I
Yeah,
forget? There's people with the lights. So
I
like, oh,
haven't. Oh,
that
yeah. That's a pain in the ass. You gotta because you don't have a sword, right?
dungeon castle, whatever it is. Yeah, no sword yet. So
Yeah, yeah.
getting out of there was a challenge. But after I learned it, I was like, I understand why people like this game. There's
Oh,
so
yeah.
much to do, and it's so good for your brain as well. Like you're always getting puzzles. That's what I love. One of my favorite franchises is Lego games, and I still play them to this day. I was gonna say my favorite franchise since I now switched from PlayStation to Xbox is Halo, and that was the reason that I switched over. My cousins showed me Forge mode of Halo 3 or Halo 3 ODST, and we had such a fun time with it. I wanted to have that same experience by myself with live. I was great at one point with this game, and I am so trash these days. It is sad. It is sad to see my scores at the bottom of the list. It is sad that I don't have melee that's consistently faster than other people. It's sad that I can't even do a quick shot with my sniper. Like I'm just like, what happened? And I'll tell you what it is. It's that I don't play it passionately. I play it to
Yeah,
play
yeah.
it. It's
It's
something
an escape. It's supposed to be an innocuous thing, not a full-time commitment.
definitely, but there's some people that are like real sweaty out there and they want to make sure that they get everything done. And I'm like, I listen, guys, I promise you, I'm gonna die at least 14 times by the end of this map. There's no way I'm gonna get through this without dying. You guys are
I like
psychopaths.
I like that description. Real sweaty. Like
Yeah, that's
that paints a picture.
That was what we called them. That was the lingo that we used for people on Call of Duty. Oh, here's some sweats. They would jump into the game and they'd play the most hardcore, brutal, annoying gameplay. And they did that for battle royales and just killed the whole genre for me. I was like, I cannot ever do a battle royale because there's so many people out there that waste day and night playing this game to kill people like me in an instant.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
infuriating.
impossible. Yes, yes. Other than Halo, I also have to say, my friend got me into Hitman. I love the Hitman franchise. I love Blood
That looks
Money.
really cool.
Yeah, the newer ones, I definitely got to play those because the graphics are better and it's the exact same gameplay style. First thing you get to do in the first mission of the first game is so fun. I literally loved it. I was just walking on a windowsill and this dude's like telling his friend about cancer. He's like, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through this cancer. And then you have the choice as Hitman, you can take the guy and chuck him out the window, or you can continue on your way. And I was like, well, I want to chuck him out the window. And the first time I threw him off, he had such a fun scream. I was like, wait, let's just restart. So I just sadistically throwing this man out of the window to
Oh,
see him fall and die.
it just makes you want to be the worst human being you can, like when you're playing GTA, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. GTA is
Yeah.
a real fun time because if you don't have your own music on, you just put on the classical station and you just run over all the pedestrians as if it's a great day where you can finally get back at all those bastards in Chicago cutting you off on the roadway, and you just
Yeah.
plow through them. And yeah, it's just a sadistic mindset that you have only for gaming, not for real life.
Only for gaming. Yeah. You
Only for
don't,
gaming.
it doesn't translate well into real life. But I remember playing Vice City with my buddies, and I would just run around, you know, and you're running down the street like a video game guy. You just
Yeah.
walk past somebody and punch them, and then you keep running. And like, it's the stupidest, funniest thing in the world.
You ever play Saints Row?
No.
So Saints Row, you do the exact same thing. You're running up to them full sprint. You take their head with your hand and smash it into the ground. And then as they're sliding, you jump on top of them and surf them all the way. It's the most extreme version of GTA because the blood and gore stuff that GTA has, the realism and stuff like that, they went more of like an arcade style, but like the things that you can do to people, especially other gangs, it's ridiculous and it's so fun. It is literally WWE meets GTA. That's what I consider
Oh
Saints Row.
God, that sounds fantastic.
Oh yeah, good times, good times. Video games are something we can relate to big time. What was your first game system?
NES, man.
NES. And
Yep.
you had Duck Hunt and Mario Brothers?
Yes, and that was it for some time.
Nice.
So making those games last a few months when you're 7 is not the easiest thing, but yeah, good memories. That was all we had.
Nice.
Like that was video games. That's it right there. Nintendo, Super Mario, Duck Hunt.
So back in the day, I would play a couple of games over at my dad's cousin's house. Really weird family connection there. But I'd play his NES. I got used to the controllers. He had an SNES as well. So I played the Super
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo. I got used to that controller as well. I think we had a leftover, like broken controller. I would plug it into the VCR. I didn't plug it in. I would just put it in the VCR, a little slip where you put the tapes, and I would pretend that I was playing that system all the way until the point where I got my first PlayStation. And that was the PlayStation, the original before it was called PS1,
Just PlayStation. Yep.
just PlayStation. And so my first game
Mm-hmm.
ever that I got hooked on was Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. And my
Oh,
first game for racing and cars was Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. Can you guess the Metallica song that played for the intro of that game?
oh God, was it Enter Sandman?
No, that would have been awesome though.
What was it?
Fuel.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I
It's that time period. Yeah.
I had no idea that Refueled or whatever was an add-on album from the original cut that they had. But yeah, it was the
There was
Refueled
load
album.
and reload.
Reload, that's it. Reload.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
thank you. Not Refueled.
Yep.
That would have been too obvious. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I got load, of course, because I'm like, oh, that's the same exact discard. I'm gonna get that. And yeah, reload was the one that like changed my world as a kid. I had so much fun with Hot Wheels Turbo Racing.
Nice.
But that was my experience with gaming as like a kid. And then as I grew up, I got more into like I said, Lego games, Star Wars games. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was like my favorite thing in the world. I was obsessed with that game. Even
Oh,
though we didn't
cool.
have internet connections or anything like that, I would play that nonstop. And then the Spider-Man 2 video game that came out for the movie
That was really good.
had excellent mechanics for swinging. They said that that was like the first time they did that, which is now still used in the newer game. They use the exact
Yeah.
same mechanic layout, which is incredible. I watched the creators react to it from the original 2004 game, and they were like, "Yep, that's ours. That's our complete copy. Yep, absolutely." I was like, "Yes, this is so good. I want this game."
Yeah.
It
No, that
made
was
me.
a good one, man. There were some gems on PS2.
Oh, definitely. And you
Yeah.
had San Andreas. Oh,
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
one of the greatest GTA games. Now an absolute nightmare to play if you played the remastered version. I think I've killed the same gang by making them drive into the water 3 times. That's
Oh,
I,
jeez.
I didn't do anything. All I had to do was jump in the water and swim, and this game mechanic is now set to like instant kill. So all of the bad guys, they see you and they want to kill you and they won't stop. So you jump in the water, they drive into the water, they'll straight on just die trying to kill.
Ah,
It's so funny. But
programmers
easier to
didn't really think that out.
yeah, easier to take care of the missions. But all these games that get remastered, you always have like your barriers and stuff like that they create. And so like characters will walk into walls or walk through walls with some of them. Battlefront 2, they put on Xbox originally as well as the PS2. So when they added it to the Xbox One, now that you have characters that are walking from walls through other walls and other characters that don't even know that you're in the game. So they're just walking around in circles. And you're like, this is not what I remember. I remember getting
Uh,
attacked all the time. What is this game?
yeah,
But Angry Video Game Nerd can always be my guy to go to whenever I have to hear somebody complain about a game.
he's amazing.
Absolutely. And oh, Angry Joe Show. I love both of those guys.
I don't think I've checked him out.
Oh my God. I will definitely set you up with a ton of his videos because he's very entertaining with his reviews, and they have skits that they put behind all of their stuff as well. Like if there's something ridiculous in the game, they'll have their cosplay and they'll reenact the scene as if it's really, really stupid. And then they'll point out all the glitches. It's a real fun experience. I'll send you
I'd like that. Yeah.
yeah, the Battlefront that came out from EA was probably one of the funniest experiences. And then they had Halo 5 where Halo 5 was the only game where you couldn't play together on the same screen. So like they started the skit and it's like, oh, apparently it's only one player, and he's like, oh yeah, no, it's okay. I brought my controller, and he's like, no, you're gonna have to buy your own system. I'll see you in a couple of days when you have that all set. Then we can all play together. It's
Oh,
like,
man.
why would you do that? The franchise that's known for couch gaming, this is the very different experience. But yeah, they'll roast the hell out of any game that's bad, and they'll praise any game that's good. And they loved Doom Eternal, loved it.
I haven't played that. A buddy of mine said it was great,
Oh yeah,
and I just never got around to it.
I played it once. I could say that I haven't like played it since, but I can say the soundtrack for it is what like everyone knows it for, especially in the metal community. It's so
Oh
good.
yeah.
Incredible
Yep.
music.
I've heard good things.
All right. Now we're at the final part here. How long have you been a martial artist, and what school or technique did you learn?
Oh, well, I started with karate when I was a teenager, and I did that for a couple years. That was more of like a traditional karate. And right now I'm studying taekwondo.
Hell yeah.
So on and off, probably 5 years total experience. I don't have a black belt in anything, but I've been to a couple different schools. Right now I'm at Nelson's Martial Arts in Lexington, Kentucky. Really good school.
That's incredible. What brought you to get involved in karate, and did it have anything to do with the show Cobra Kai? Just checking.
Uh, it didn't. It was a friend of mine did it, and he just said it was really fun, and he was learning cool stuff. So I just got into it, and I built up the muscle memory when I was younger. So when I started back up again as an adult, it was all still there.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really lucky too. So I'll give you a little bit of my history. I'll do super quickly for you. I have my first, second, and third degree black belt and all of my plaques.
That's
I'm
awesome,
not
man. What style?
I'm not a master or anything, but we did American Korean. It was called
Okay.
National Karate. Um,
Okay.
I was in it for 12 years. I started in
Cool.
kindergarten and I finished my high school, last year of high school. I was originally set to be an instructor. I was ready for it. They told me I was ready for it and everything. And then I had a really nice instructor tell me that the payment was so bad that I would need another job and another job in order to live a daily life. So he's like, if you're really passionate about this, continue here. If you're not, then it's okay to move on and do whatever you want. And we won't take anything away from you. If you come back here at any time, you're going to have that third degree still. So I'm like, awesome. I was an assistant instructor at the time. I was learning how to teach the kids over the summer, and I loved it. Karate was one of my biggest like downtime things, but also in my sport. It was my sport. It was my way to become a Power Ranger as I wanted as a kid, and also to protect myself because bullying happens to everybody, and it's always good to be prepared in case anything gets physical. Unfortunately, nothing did, but it was still good to know those skills.
It's like having a fire extinguisher under the sink. As you know, I mean, if you're a trained martial artist. No reputable school is going to teach you to be aggressive.
No.
They're going to teach you to walk away. Always walk away.
Yeah,
But
walk
if you
away
can't,
unless they have a gun.
yeah. If you can't walk away, you have another option.
Definitely. But I'll tell you, we did learn ground fighting. We did that a little bit later. I think that was my second degree black belt. And
Mm-hmm.
we also learned samurai. So we did do kata, and we also learned how to do some sparring with foam sabers. So
Yeah,
not
yeah.
real swords or anything. We did have the real swords for the kata, but we did learn the traditional part of it, and we had a great time with that thanks to one of my masters. So yeah, that was my experience with learning karate technique, all of that with samurai training. But my favorite out of all of it was the bow, or I don't know how they call bow stick, I guess you could say. Some people
Bow
have
staff, yeah.
bow staff. That's it. We just called it the bow, and I had excellent form when it came to all of the kata that we did for that. We called it form as well, but for tournaments and stuff like that, I did my best to make sure that I was one of the standouts when it came to that bow. I loved that thing. It was so light, so easy to move. I have one that's metal as well, literally like right over next to me.
And
But
I'm sure that probably showed in your kata.
oh, definitely, definitely. I loved
Yeah.
it. It got me into some genres of music that I didn't originally plan on because I would always practice with something. I wanted to have my own stage form. We always had like our own kata that we could perform at a tournament or at the Diamond Nationals, which was the huge karate competition up in Minnesota. But I
Okay.
went there one time and I made a finalist, and they didn't even have a trophy, Chris. No trophy.
Oh
this
man.
was this was still the time period where everybody gets a trophy, but they didn't have any because so many people were that bad. And I was like, wait a second, I'm pretty good though.
And nothing.
Nothing to bring back. My first
Hmm.
experience ever with karate. My parents took me to this place. I was in a sweatsuit. I was like 4, maybe 5 years old. I was so nervous, and this dude was like getting angry at the students, like Johnny Lawrence from Cobra Kai, like
Uh,
screaming at us, like Junbi, get it right, stand still, no movement. I had ADHD. I didn't know that at that time, but later on we discovered that. And the best way, I'll tell you this, karate is a great thing for anyone that has ADD, ADHD, because you are damn focused on the
oh
eyes
yeah.
of your instructor. You will not
Yep.
miss a beat. You will make sure that you are very serious when you're in their classroom, when you're in their area, their dojo. that
Yeah,
is
you
that
have to
is
be
their
there.
zone. Yeah.
You got to be there mentally, man. If you're not, they're going to call you out on it. And I mean, it wasn't my experience with karate wasn't um, the same as taekwondo in this regard. In taekwondo, everything is yes sir, yes sir.
Yep.
You better be yelling it.
Absolutely. We were also taught that way. The second school that I went to was very hard on me. He made sure that all my screenings, which were the pre-tests for the big test, were
Hmm.
always very intense. And I didn't realize until much later that he was doing that to form my character, to make sure that I would follow through. He wasn't doing it as a personal attack on me. He finally explained it
Yeah.
after I broke into tears one day, because I was like, listen, man, I'm so sorry. I don't know what you want me to do. I don't have any energy. He's like, listen, I'm not here to make you cry. I'm not here to make you upset. I just want to let you know that, like, I'm telling you the right way to do it, because I believe in you that you're going to be able to do it. And my name is Dan. So guess what my nickname was in karate?
What's that?
Danielson.
Dennis. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Of course, of course. That's what I expected to hear all the time. But the people that I met through karate, the experiences that I had, I wouldn't trade for the world, man. There was so much fun that I had there, and it really did help me get my mind straight. It really did balance me. Like they say in the show Cobra Kai and Karate Kid and all that.
Mhm.
It's really good for your mental health as well as your physical health, to keep you in
It's
shape.
Yeah, it really is, man. I've noticed I've been back at it for a few months now, and it's like, why did I ever stop doing this?
Because it's three
Just like
thousand dollars.
it's not cheap, it's an extra. I pay like $160 a month to go to this school, and then there's a belt test every couple months too, and it's pretty common to charge for a belt test because you're
Yep.
paying a panel of experts to evaluate you.
Yep.
But that's another expense, and then sparring gear isn't cheap, and
Yeah, I'll say this because I don't want to call out the school or anything, but my parents told me what the price that they were paying was, and they told me that all of these tests were determined on that payment, and I was like, oh, that changed. That changed
yeah.
a lot of how I thought originally, because I was like sweating my balls off, making sure that I was doing these perfect punches, perfect form, perfect everything. And I had no idea that it was already in the bag. But you know what? I earned it. And in my mind, that's what mattered most to me. When I got my first black belt, my master, the one that brought in the samurai training, was the one that tied it around me. Oh, no, no, no. Actually, it was the master that pushed me the hardest at the second school. He was the one that tied it around me, and I was like, I couldn't be happier. This is the perfect guy to give me this belt. This is the guy that's seen me at my lowest and pushed me all the way to my best, to get
Hmm.
to that point where I can actually become a master of karate. And when you get to the first degree black belt, that's just the one gold stripe with the black belt. You get
Hmm.
into the master's program. That's what you have the little patch on you. But I never took it as I am a master. In my head, I was like, I'm a master of karate, go to school. I'm a master of karate. Of course, that doesn't help you in your case of anybody that picks on you.
No.
Oh, you're a master, huh? You don't look like a
Yeah, then
master
they're
to
gonna
me.
want to try you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I always wanted a physical altercation. I always wanted that. I know that it's a horrible thing to say, but I just wanted to kick someone's ass, just to be like, this actually does work. Oh, fantastic. Otherwise, I was going to start painting the fence, waxing the floor, wax on, wax off, you know?
It does work. It does work, but the thing is, you're under so much stress
Yes.
in real life. If you ever were physically confronted by somebody, they can't replicate that in school. So you don't really. Yeah, you're gonna have some muscle memory, but you don't know what you're gonna do. You're gonna know how to calm yourself down because you're trained, and you'll react from there. But there's that first instant where you're like, "Oh my God, this is happening to me. Why is this happening to me?" There's gonna be only
Yes.
two thoughts in your head.
Yeah, and I'm guessing with street fighting as well, a lot of people bring it to the ground. Like I said, we learned ground fighting, we learned how to disarm people, we learned how to put them in painful positions, submission positions, and stuff like that. But the thing about karate is that there's no finishing move. We weren't Cobra Kai. We weren't gonna
Yeah,
punch people in the face at the end. We were just like, this is it, this is over. You're going to be call the police or something like that afterwards.
yeah.
We were the nice way, but that doesn't actually end a fight. I'm pretty sure that they have enough energy. They're going to continue going. And so that probably would have happened to me, but it would have made me stronger. I would have been like, all right, who's next? I got my ass kicked. Let's go again. I need to do something right.
I mean that, or you could have really fucked someone up, man. You might have been the one in the cop car.
Oh, that would be awful. Yeah, no, thank God I can say that I did not meet my ex back in that time. Actually I did, but that was much later on when I was almost done with the whole entire experience. But yeah, I never would strike with anger. I never did that, because
That's
I
good.
I knew that would never lead to anything, and it also would keep my focus on the wrong things. I wouldn't be able to take care of blocking. Blocking doesn't work if you're angry. You cannot
Yeah.
expect where everything's going. You're not watching their hip movement. You're not making sure that your stance is correct. You're not holding your balance. They can kick you over. They can push you over. They can punch you in the face and knock you down. You never want to be on the ground in front of somebody that's attacking you, you know? So
Yeah.
I was always in that mindset of like, I have to do what we called it might for right. That was our motto at the school. So might for right. We always do the right thing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
The,
It was solid.
Taekwondo, that we have the tenets of Taekwondo. It's courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit. And there's a student oath too, wherein you agree to not misuse what you're learning.
Perfect.
Yep.
That's the best. I love that both schools or both techniques are pushing for that calmness, that
Yeah.
technique of making sure that you're absolutely in the right head, right mindset in order to handle yourself if you're ever put in that position. But they always
Oh
say
yeah.
the best way to fight is to never be in one.
Yep. Walk away.
Absolutely. You'd never want to get in. They said, especially when it comes to like gun and safety of that, they said that people, we're going to teach you stuff here, but people will not be as nice. They will not hesitate to pull a trigger. You will not have the chance to disarm them. You give them whatever they want.
Take the wallet.
Take the wallet,
Yep.
have a backup wallet, whatever you can do. Give them whatever they want. Throw it on the ground in front of them. Make sure they're distracted and looking down, and run for your life.
Oh
Because
yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
there's no way out of that position unless you are fully prepared to face somebody that has a loaded weapon. That is a very challenging thing. I wish, you know how cool it would have been? Samurai training comes around, everyone's just like, guns have been banned. Everyone now has a samurai sword. Protect yourselves. And I'm just like, let's go.
Yeah, you're ready.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
I got my
I've been
Boken over
preparing.
here. I'm like, let's
Yeah.
go. Walking around. Everyone's got a sword like a Ninja Turtle.
Oh yeah, right on
So
the
much
back
fun.
there.
Chris, you are an absolutely awesome musician, but you're also even better, an awesome person, and you're a real person. And I appreciate you for being here with me to chat with me about your experiences and everything. You're absolutely great. I hope all of you guys that have been listening to this podcast are giving this guy all of the love that he deserves. Make sure that you subscribe to his channel, which will be in the description. Follow him on all platforms, including Instagram. Like I said, if you're a new artist and you need to get into the game, he's probably the best one to go to right now. This guy is insanely helpful. You know, you're very personal. You're able to consistently speak with Bjorn out of all people. That's an incredible thing. I would love to have that opportunity one day, and I probably will go to you for that just because I know that you know how to speak to him correctly and schedule the time out and all of
Mhm.
that. You're very professional with what you do, and
Yeah.
dude, I respect you immensely for everything. Thank you so much for being here and chatting with me.
Thanks for having me, man. And we'll do this again. Even if we're not recording it, it's I like chatting with you. It's fun.
Oh, absolutely, man. We'll definitely be chatting probably on Instagram so that we don't run out
Yeah.
of time. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'll bring you back on here when I start seeing new music from you too. And if you ever, like I'm gonna say this for everybody that talks to me on here, if you ever need a reaction to your music to help you blow up, I would happily do that again for you. No
Yep.
problem. No questions asked. I'll be there because that first reaction, I was like, I could have done better. I had some good wording at the end, but I was just like, no, 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 no. I should have just done the whole freaking EP. That would have been so cool. Should have just waited, got all 4, 5 tracks on there. Oh, epic, epic. I had such a fun time listening to it today, man. It was such a
Well,
good time.
I'll have some new stuff for you. Hopefully, with by the end of this year. A lot of moving parts right now, but I'll get it to you.
Excellent. I'm so looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to hearing more from that female vocalist as well from Italy. What was
Yep.
her name again?
Viviana LaMonica. She's on Instagram also. If you
Viviana.
just go through my posts, I'm pretty sure I tagged her in the Bodum post.
Perfect. No doubt that I have already followed her then, because anyone that's been tagged in stories by people that I respect, I follow them immediately until they do something
Likewise.
that triggers me.
Yeah.
There's some artists out there where I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna follow them at first, and then all of a sudden they're like promoting a stripper, and I'm just like, oh, you know, maybe not.
or they for me it's they don't like Final Fantasy 8 and I'm like, no, that fuck that guy.
That's it. It's exactly what a piece of shit. How could they not?
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, thanks again for chatting with me, and we'll continue after I press stop.
I meant to tell you, I kind of saw you going in this direction a couple of years ago when I was watching your reviews. I'm like, this guy really should do a podcast and interview people. I should have told you that.
Hey, it was always supposed to be this way. I was always supposed to start in 2023. I've always had this like ultimatum of like the next year I'll do that one thing that's in my mind. The reason that I even
Yeah,
started YouTube was because I had already proposed to my fiance. I had already set up everything. I had a new job planned and ready to go. I was like, this is
mhm.
the time for me to start something new. And I was so scared and nervous, of course, the first time. But thank you for that compliment on
Yeah,
how I word things and everything. I owe that to PJ Mills and Chris Stuckman, both of them extremely big influences on me in YouTube. But I do
yeah,
appreciate that, dude. Yeah, I definitely wanted
yeah,
to go this path. I was feeling it too. I was like, it's feeling like more of a chore to get all of this music put out so fast, and like all this crowd is only coming for these few artists. It's like I would just like to talk to people. All right, thanks again for watching, everyone. I hope you had an awesome time watching this. We're going to have so much fun with Chris in the future, and make sure that you are following him and supporting him in every way. Remember, all of his information is always in that description below. Have an awesome day and stay safe out there. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the Media Man Dan podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks for listening, have an awesome day, and stay safe out there. Peace.